the applause for our fandom tonight. Oh wow, that's great. All right, we are here at Frickers for the Coaches Show. We're located between Highway 20 and the Turnpike in Fremont. Expecting some bad weather later on in the week, but we will be talking basketball. Size up where teams are as they get ready for the. Well, it's not really the second half of the season quite yet, but we are approaching that mark. The girls are pretty much there at this point. Guys still have they're week behind as that goes because of that staggered schedule. And here tonight, we have, of course, boneless chicken wings at 79 cents. Plus, there seems to be a big football game going on tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they tell me, but I can't be certain about that. But there was talk today about a football game. So, no, all kidding aside, Michigan plays Washington in the national championship game tonight down in Houston. The Browns play there on Saturday, so it's a big week for sports down in the Lone Star State. We'll have tonight John Cahill, Ross Boys head coach. We'll talk about their team and see how they're doing right now. 4-5, 1-1 in the NLL. Eric Hoover of Old Fort will be joining us, boys team 723. And then Tony Egbert of Gibsonburg, he's the head coach for the boys team at 7:43 for tonight. But first, let's welcome in Coach Cahill. How you doing?
It's great to be here tonight. I thought maybe they'd cancel the show and cancel school and just cancel everything for a football game. But we're here tonight, so it's exciting. We moved our girls' game up to an early start, so I missed the end of it. And my daughter's on a team. But I wanted to be here with you, and I gave my word, so here I am.
Well, all right. Well, there you go. So, and I know that it's a big deal because there's been word in the Cahill household that she's decided on a college for Abby.
Yeah, she's going to DePaul, play volleyball in Chicago. So, man, I hate to see her go. She's been fun to be around and follow. But yeah, we'll be making some trips to Chicago. And my wife took a new job as an AD at Terra, so we'll have a little more free time in the fall that we're not quite tied down to a coaching schedule. So, looking forward to it. But excited just for the rest of the girls' basketball season to watch her and support her.
Are you going to buy a Cubs hat?
I like Chicago. I'm not a big city guy. I'm a 419 guy. I like my rural Northwest Ohio, so I get hives a little bit when I leave my little area. But it'll be nice to go there, and I've been there a number of times. When Amanda played, and we've taken a couple trips there as well. So look forward to it. It'll be fun.
Well, my source for tickets, however, that we lost that on Otani, and probably going to lose out on Cody Bellinger. So
yeah,
but we got a manager.
Yeah.
We don't. I don't know what we have for players. But we have a manager.
That's right. I forgot you're a Cubs fan. Maybe we'll hit a game sometime.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, let's talk about your team. And I saw them play Springfield. One thing that impressed me about your team is they did have a lot of defensive intensity. And when we covered that game, it was the last game prior to break. And, of course, you had almost 2 weeks off.
Yep.
And you did play last week. We'll talk about that here in just a few moments. But the big win against Springfield, and not only that, but an NLL win. So how are things going so far with blending this group together?
I've said this a number of times. Like this team, the senior group, I think won one game as freshmen. They struggled to middle school. It's not a class that's had a lot of success. A lot of times your seniors are your leaders, and I would say that's the case with our guys. This is really a combination of last year's JV and freshman team with Mackay and Tykel. And, weren't tremendously successful at the JV or freshman level last year. But they've worked really hard. They work hard in the weight room. And, we're fighting a good fight every night. And I think your words are true. Like they defend, we've taken a lot of criticism for our scoring output on Friday night, maybe deservedly so. But we bounced back on Saturday and scored the ball pretty well. But I think the constant is they play really, really hard every night. And they defend like crazy. And, they've been a joy to coach. Like they work hard, they listen. They want to learn. They watch a lot of film, and I'm proud of what we're doing. And I've been saying all along, I think we'll play our best ball mid-January on. It just takes some time, especially when we're not crazy young in age. We're playing juniors and sophomores. It's not like we have a bunch of freshmen out there, but they're young in varsity experience, and so they're getting their teeth cut, some ups and some downs, and but I don't think anybody can question every night, even the night when we got beat and we scored in the 20s. They battle, they compete hard, and they held the other team in the 30s. So, every night we're competing, and I respect that.
When your team has such, and maybe this is genuinely for a lot of teams, when they play so hard defensively, can you live with being a little bit less in the amount of points you put up? Because that defense never leaves you.
Right, and defense travels too. So, it's one of those things where we even when we chart practice possessions, like right now, we're not, although we're shooting it better, although take away Friday night, but we're not a great shooting team. And we struggle sometimes to get offensive scores. It's not like we scored in the 60s Saturday night. We put in a whole new offense in our, in the day between games. It's just some nights the ball goes in for us and some nights it doesn't. But defense travels. Defense, it doesn't have off nights for the most part. So, we hang our hat on that. We're going to play really hard. It's not always pretty, but I said this at the beginning of the year. If you come watch us play, I would be disappointed if you left and said we weren't unselfish. Like, we share the ball, and if you didn't think we played hard. I think we compete really hard every night, and kind of representative of our city. We're blue collar, tough town. I think our team is a good representation of Fremont.
We're talking with head coach John Cahill as his team gets back to action tomorrow night against Perrysburg in a road game. Then you have 3 at home. But, a lot of people go back to that triple overtime win against Anthony Wayne. So take us into that, the intensity of winning that game, what it meant to the players, and how it could be used as a springboard for what you hope to have here later on in the year.
Yeah, they Anthony Wayne's done very well since that game. By the way, they lost 1. I think they're 5-1 since they played us. It was a game, I think, on paper where AW, they won the NLL altogether last year. They're a bigger school than we are, which I don't give a lot of credence to for the most part. But, projection is the Buckeye beats the Cardinal for the most part. We talked about that when we did football. So, they came to our place, and we had chances to win that game, chances to lose that game, but the kids were just resilient and kept battling. And, the game ended up scoring a lot of points because we took 3 overtimes to do it. But I think it gave them a little belief at that point that they, we can beat somebody pretty good. And so, winning that game, we had a tough one at Napoleon. Our big guy, Justin Harrelson's been sick and missed 3 of our games. We didn't have him at Napoleon, and we took one on the chin in the Cardinal opener. But, we got the win then, like you said, at home at Springfield. And I think the Anthony Wayne game has given them, some belief that they can do some pretty good things. And, we had success more so than I think even I thought this summer. We had a pretty good scrimmage schedule and played pretty well. But until you start doing it in real games where they're keeping track, it's different. And so these are guys, again, that haven't won a lot. The sophomore group won some in middle school, but a lot of these guys haven't won wearing the purple and white at any level. And, bumping up kids and saying, well, you played JV last year and you guys won 7-8 games, and now you're going to go to the varsity level and, battle. They just worked hard. And, again, I go back to that, but they're tough kids. They're hard to score against. They fight on the glass, even though we're undersized quite often. And, I think we'll be a tough out as the year goes on.
Talking with head coach John Cahill as we talk Fremont Ross boys basketball to get ready for Perrysburg tomorrow night. We invite you to come on down to Frickers, watch the national championship game between Washington and Michigan. Boneless wings at 79 cents per tonight here at Frickers. So let's talk a little bit about your squad. And, we talked a little bit about the defensive intensity. And, you split over this past week. And we'll mention the 33-22 loss at Bellevue. How did you size up that game in terms of what you saw that was positive despite the scoring output? We fouled late, but we're still in that game until pretty much right at the end, just because we do defend. I mean, we missed some pretty easy shots, some tough shots, and it's a credit to Bellevue, too. The one thing I'll take as a real positive is when you score that few points, you take criticism. And it can come from in your own house. And a lot of times it's people, social media has given people so much of a voice that if they came up and talked to you, you would not even think about it. But because they type it on a phone and put it online, now all of a sudden it has some credence, even though they maybe never played or even know what they're talking about. So, the kids read it. And maybe coaches, I'm not a social media guy, though I use it for stuff. But,
they read this stuff on message boards or wherever, and it, oh man, Tommy Smith thinks that we can't shoot. We lay bricks, and that's how they built a new gym. Blah blah blah. The one thing we haven't done, we don't point fingers at each other, and we don't point fingers. We stay together, and so we lost, and it was if it's 62-51, nobody's saying anything, but because it's so low scoring, people want to criticize it. It's all good, whatever. But we just don't hear those voices. Like, we listen to each other, and we're very loyal to our circle. And the next night we came back out and kind of corrected some stuff and got back going. One more, I think I'll add on it too. Like, we had 2 weeks off. No excuses. We had 2 weeks off. Doesn't matter. Like, we had practice every day. You've got to come back and play. So I've never had that as a coach. I could use it as an excuse, but we're not. Like, that night Bellevue was good. They defended us hard. I thought we defended them hard, but they earned the win, and bottom line, they got it done.
You played Perkins. You used to play them earlier in the season, so you played them on January 6th. So how big was it for your team to have a quick turnaround after that loss at Bellevue going up against Perkins?
Perkins, nearly beat Sandusky, led that game late. They picked to win their conference, and, they had that football run, so they got a little late start. And I felt like it was really good for us to get back on the court. When you shoot it like we shot it on Friday night, you get a chance to play again. It's a good thing. And so we had incredible energy, and I will continue to say, like, this is such a resilient group, led by our seniors. They've not had an easy go athletically, especially in basketball. And so for them, to kind of get the guys back together and, let's talk about what happened and what things can we fix and what things just, sometimes if you do play sports, you have an off night, when you're like me, you have more than most because I wasn't that good. But, like, if you're good, you don't have too many. But even then, Steph Curry has bad shooting nights. So, they got themselves together, came right back against a really athletic Perkins team. And, again, close game, but, we got down the stretch. We really pulled away. And, again, just I think their resilience and toughness and their belief in one another. As this group really, they like each other. They care for each other. They like each other to succeed. I say nice things about them on the radio. I coach them really hard. There's a lot of tough love, but they're good kids, and they're trying their best.
What is it about a squad that hasn't had a lot of success in previous years? How do they learn how to win?
I think hard work, dedication, and just continuing to preach belief. I think it's really easy when you've lost a lot to fall back into what you're used to, and blame the refs, blame each other, blame the coaches, blame whomever. And so we just keep talking about, we're earning the right to be successful. And so we work really hard. Our practices are not for the faint of heart. We go really, really hard in practice. We have high expectations. We were voted in the conference either 5th or 6th, depending on how the Blade posted it, because it's not public. But and on paper we earn it. But I don't think we think of ourselves as a basement team in this conference. And we're 1-1 right now, and we practice every day to put ourselves in position to get better and to have an opportunity to have games in February that count.
Final couple questions for Coach John Cahill. Fremont Ross boys against Perrysburg tomorrow night, and we'll have their game on Friday against Oregon Clay over at the Purple Pit. So let's talk a little bit about some of those players. And we got to know Tykel Patterson. I know you know him real well, but we got to know him a lot during football season and the way he played as a wide receiver. So how has he been as a leader for this team and showing example?
I could talk about TK all day, and just in terms of leading, he's been really, really good. And he came to us as a freshman. In fact, the first time I'd ever heard about him, House Jones, who passed away a few years ago, sent me a Facebook message about him. He was moving here from Chicago. It hasn't been easy for TK, and I'm not going to elaborate a ton on it, but he's had some ups and downs since he's been at Ross. A lot of it his own doing, and he would be the first to admit that. But, boy, he's just turned himself into such a mature kid, a leader, someone I think everyone trusts, never question his effort, never question his commitment to the team. And I give him a lot of credit because, again, you're facing some tough battles with a group that's so young, and he's one of the 2 guys that have some, real experience. And so, he doesn't get negative on people. He continues to lead in a positive manner. My senior group I could brag on a lot because like I said, for all of them, it hasn't been easy. and they haven't had tremendous success, but they've stuck with it, and I'm proud of them.
You know, you have interesting part of we've talked about learning how to win and everything. So, what in a close game, in a close situation, who do you want having the ball?
This is going to sound cliche, and I don't mean it that way, but like we want a good shot, and that could come from lots of different places. Like we have belief in the guys we play, and so we're not one of those teams where we're star-based this year where we have to get the ball to Mackay or TK or whatever. Like we're going to take – I mean, DeKentre has been our leading scorer the last 2 nights and played really, really well. TK led us in scoring the game before that. But I think a lot of those baskets, they come from Mackay. They come from a kid like Talon Brown who got 5 rebounds the other night and pitch them back out. I mean, we share the ball, and we don't have that Larry Bird type that down the stretch we're going to go to, and he's getting the ball. Like a lot of guys that could take our last shot and we'd be good with it as long as it's a good shot for us. So I'm not totally answering your question, but it's the truth. Like we believe in our guys, and we want a good shot for Fremont.
So how does that pose problems for defenses late in games?
No, I mean, there's nobody, like last year to an extent, you could really sit on Aiden because he was our guy, and, deservedly so. Like, he worked really hard at the game, and he's doing really well in college, and I didn't have much doubt he would. Like, he's a gym rat and a really good kid, but we just have a little more depth of play this year. Not that we didn't last year. It was just different, And so when we get down the stretch, we're really not running a play just to try to get whomever a look. We're trying to get the best shot we can get, and it's a different philosophy, and not that one's better than the other. It's just this team has, a little more parity, I guess you would say.
Yep. All right. Well, before I let you go, we need a prediction for tonight's game. Give me a score. Give me a winner.
I will do that, but I want to state my frustration with the fact that, man, we've become just a society of fans. Like, we're moving games for this game. Like my daughter's game's going right now, and I'm missing it because we moved the game up. But I will say I'm going to take we got Rob Lytle, Charles Woodson, Tony Gant, all Michigan guys. I don't know anybody from Washington. I don't know anybody on either team. But I knew those 3 guys. I watched them play at Ross. Any connection to Ross, I'm in on. So Michigan Wolverines, 28-14. And Washington scores the ball a lot, but Michigan physical. I don't know. I'm usually right on this. So if you're one of those people that do that stuff, like 28-14 is probably the final.
Yeah. And if you get the score right, I have nothing to give you.
Always appreciate you, Timmy.
All
Good
right.
to talk, my friend.
Yep, it sounds good. All right, we'll see you on Friday night.
All right, thank you.
All right, Coach John Cahill joining us here from Frickers, located between Highways 20 and the Turnpike here in Fremont. Coming up next, we have scheduled Eric Hoover, the Old Fort boys head coach, and we invite you to come on down, 79-cent boneless wings here at Frickers, and the national title game between Washington and Michigan. More up next as we roll along here on Eagle 99. Coach Eric Hoover. Old Fort boys, so let's talk about them. And a lot of exciting things to the year. You're at 7-1 in conference, tied with Calvert and Hopewell Loudon. You lost to Loudon in overtime. That was your only loss of the season, but it's been pretty good for you, Coach.
Yeah, we got off to a good start, and been playing pretty well overall. Very consistent, and we did had a bad half there at Hopewell, and kind of gave that one away a little bit. But overall, can't complain.
What happened during the bad half?
We couldn't score for a while. We just struggled. We turned it over way too much, and had a run of turnovers that they took advantage of, and it was at a time when they also they got kind of hot from the outside, and we couldn't quite grab momentum back. We did come back obviously and tie it up, and had opportunities to win in regulation and in the first overtime, but ultimately we couldn't quite get it done, and they just made more plays than we did.
Well, considering all that is going on, a three-way tie for first. Gibsonburg has improved this year, and we're going to talk with Tony Egbert here in just a few minutes. But, how balanced is this league this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely balanced up top. The top 5 teams, I think anybody can beat anyone, and it's you got to be ready to go every night. Like I said, there's always tough places to play, and tough environments to go into, and I think you can't take any nights off. There's been a lot of close games, I think, throughout the league, and so it's very competitive.
All right, as we talk with Coach Eric Hoover, and Old Fort as they are tied for first right now, three-way tie for first in the SBC River. And let's take a look at your team a little bit. And you have 4 players averaging double digits in scoring. How does that occur? What goes into creating that and creating a lot of havoc for defenses?
Yeah, they play well together. They're very unselfish. They share the ball well. So they're looking for the open guy, not just trying to create their own. And it's worked out well. Those 4 all averaged double figures last year as well. So getting them back, we kind of knew what we were. What we had, what we had to work with, and a lot of different guys that can score. Definitely makes it tough. Makes it tough on our opponents to know who to game plan for. We don't run anything for a particular person. Our offense is very free flowing, and we just read things and get it to the open guy, no matter who it is. So there's not anybody that they can really focus on. We have a lot of different. We've had multiple guys lead us in scoring. This year, all 4 of them have led us in scoring on different nights, and that just makes it more difficult for our opponents.
When you have that kind of ability and the ability to share the ball and some of the other things that are involved, how much does that benefit you as a coach? I mean, it makes you look good, but also. How much of it do the players kind of coach themselves in a critical moment when they know they're not doing a certain thing and they can look in the mirror and say, hey, here's what I'm not doing well?
Yeah, I think it's an advantage, like because you have multiple guys that can do things, and everybody's not going to have a good night all the time, right? So when someone's having an off night, there's more guys that can be there to step up and carry more of the load that night. And they kind of get a feel for that, as the game's going on, who's doing things well and who's not. And we did a really good job of finding open guys the other night. We had very balanced scoring over there at Calvert on Saturday, and we just were finding who the open man was, and they knocked down shots. They have a lot of confidence in each other to get things done, and they don't have to, look for one particular person, and they're able to figure that out as the game's going on, and you just never know from one night to the next.
Talking with head coach Eric Hoover, Old Fort boys. They go up against SJCC tomorrow. We'll mention that game here in just a few moments. And, you look at some of the other intangibles for this team. What would you pinpoint? Obviously, they can score. Obviously, there's some other key components for you, but are there some intangibles that we don't see on the stat sheet that mean a lot to you?
Yeah, I mean they get along really well. I think, like I said, they're very unselfish. They get along well. They have a lot of fun, playing the game. And that makes practices better. That makes just being around each other better. They enjoy the time together, and I think that's very important for a team to be successful. They're not bickering with each other or arguing about this or that or worrying about who's getting what shot or anything like that. But they push each other. They're competitive, and they push each other to get better. And if someone isn't doing their job, they're not afraid to they call each other out, and they have that respect for each other to be able to know when they need to step it up.
Why don't we mention a little bit about some of your players and Connor Ernsberger? Let's cover him first.
Yeah, he's having another outstanding year. He had an outstanding year last year, first team SBC, and really, going into last year, we wouldn't know exactly what we were going to get, and he just came out and he's just a competitor, and he does a lot of different things. He's a scorer for us, but he's also a facilitator and a creator. He's been doing a great job of creating for others this year, also shooting the ball very well, and he's a little undersized, but we're not real tall or have a post, so he ends up playing on some of bigger guys, and we count on him to do a lot of rebounding. He's our leading rebounder at only 6 foot tall, and he gets in there and battles and does a good job of high pointing the ball, and he just often just wants it more than the other guy. So he's does a little bit of everything for us, and it's great to have him on the team.
Ryan Adelsberger.
Yeah, Ryan really worked hard to improve his shooting. I mean, he's always been a pretty good shooter, but he really worked hard in the offseason and really just put up a ton of good, high-quality shots. And it's shown. I mean, he's shooting over 50% from the three-point line this year, and shooting a high number of them. So, he that really stretches the floor for everybody and helps to open everybody else up with that shooting threat. He also does a great job in helping us rebound because we are undersized. He's 6'3", so and athletic and runs the floor well and helps us with that quickness. So he's having a good year also.
Carter Dubois.
Yeah, Carter Dubois.
Dubois. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It'd been a little while since I'd done your team, so I was like, that's just my inclination.
Right.
Go ahead, Dubois.
That's all right. We really need him to step up. Actually, Ryan's on the injured list right now, so he's going to be out for a little bit. But
yeah, I noticed 8 games compared to some of your players had 10.
So he's having a little foot problem. That takes out one of our shooting threats. But luckily we have people like Carter who can step up. So we didn't have Ryan over at New Eagle the other night, and Carter stepped up and comes in with 20. And shoots the ball very well and picked up his defense and rebounding and made contributions in a lot of other ways that maybe we don't normally ask him to do, but he really stepped up and did a lot more for us. He's an outstanding athlete, good kid, and really can really shoot it well. He's shooting a very good percentage from 3 also, and really he fits great with our style of play. Very athletic, runs the floor well. Can finish on fast breaks and stuff like that. So he's
before
doing well.
Before we get to Isaiah Perez, what is your style of play? Because you look at the numbers and you don't go very deep,
right?
But you seem to want to try to get up and down the floor.
Yeah, we do play fast. We do try to get up and down. We've done a little bit less, maybe the last 3-4 years, because we felt we just had to get better in a half-court situation, so we put ourselves in that situation more. But we press a lot. We press a lot of different presses. We mix up man and zone and play a lot of different defenses. I just think we got to be able to find something that's going to work on a certain night, and so they have a lot to know and a lot of responsibilities and a lot of different things. But we do, like to get out and push and run as fast as we can. Like I said, we're not big. We don't really have necessarily a true post player at all. They can all shoot it. So we spread the floor and try to get open driving lanes for Connor and Isaiah and Ryan, and try to wear other people down. I think we're in pretty good condition, I feel like, and we have to be to play that way with limited guys.
How about Isaiah Perez?
Yeah, he's another first teamer coming back from last year. Had an outstanding year. He just does so many good things, and a lot of it, maybe doesn't even show up on the stat sheet either. He is scoring for us at pretty close to about 14 a game, I think, and he shoots the ball well. He's so fast, has very quick hands, really harasses people on defense, and he gets up so quick off the ground, and they think they can throw it over him because he's a little smaller, but he just gets up and gets a deflection and gone just like that and gets a layup. Does a great job of recognizing when we get a rebound and gets runouts and gets easy ones that way, and just finds a way to make big plays. He had a huge night for us the other night. Really pushed. Calvert was kind of cutting into our lead a little bit there in the third quarter, and within 10 seconds he hits two threes and pushed the lead right back to 18, and really did a great job of making big plays for us.
Final couple questions for Coach Eric Hoover. Old Fort boys tied for first place. They have SJCC coming up tomorrow, and let's preview that matchup. And I have seen SJCC, and of course, everybody talks about their big duo, and of course, Clay Stahl's one of them. That is one of those guys, along with Cooper Talika.
Yeah. They're the last team I've seen in the league because this is the last game of the round. I hadn't seen them play. I hadn't come across any of their film, so I just recently have seen them. But they're all veterans, right? Those guys have been playing varsity here for 3 years, or maybe 4. So they're veterans, and they've continued to improve every year. They both shoot the ball very well. They both have been handling the ball very well, and they really create everything for them. You can't fall asleep on them, or they're going to make you pay. I think they both can do a lot of different things. So definitely will be a focus of our defense tomorrow.
Defensively, how do you feel like your team is playing as you approach the halfway mark?
I mean, we always have things to improve. I think early on we really were in a lot of man-to-man, and we've kind of maybe started to mix in a little more zone. And I think just with our size and ability to defend in the post, and we got a lot of teams with some bigger guys in our league that can hurt us. So we've been working, really focusing on getting better in that zone too, so that we can find another way to defend and mix it up and keep the offense on their toes and keep them uncomfortable. And we really played well in our zone Saturday, and it was a really big step in improvement. And hopefully we can continue.
Your ability to rebound out of a zone, because everybody says that's hard to do. How would you gauge your team having done that?
That's definitely been a weakness for us. We have struggled giving up too many offensive rebounds. That's one thing that we've been working on. We've been talking about. We've been focusing on, and it just takes everybody wants to relax when the shot goes up and just turn around and look at it. And we got to do a better job of maintaining that rebounding position. Whether you have a certain man you're responsible for, we have an area that we need to get covered, and we got to do a better job. That's something that certainly we have to do a better job of. The second half of the season we have been.
All right, and before I let you go, prediction for the game: we need a score, we need a winner.
This one?
Yes, the national championship
Lord.
game.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know if I want to watch.
Well, you don't have to give one if you.
No, it's fine. No, I'm going to say.
We're not going to hold you to it.
Yeah, right. We're going to say Michigan 24, Washington 27.
Wow. Oh, he flipped the script on us. My goodness. All right. And do you have any Michigan football fans around?
Yeah, they're coming out of the woodwork these days. So, yeah.
Well, and I'm sure they'll let you know about it if Michigan
Yes,
wins.
I'm
All
sure.
right. All right, Eric Hoover, head coach at Old Fort. Good luck the rest of the year. We look forward to continuing to cover your games.
All right, thank you.
All right. And, it was nice to talk to Coach Hoover and, size up how the team is doing so far this year, and they're doing very, very well. We come back, we'll have Tony Egbert, the head coach at Gibsonburg. And a reminder, it's 79-cent boneless wings tonight. So come on out, and don't forget the weather may be, to borrow a Christmas song, the weather may be frightful this weekend, but the playoffs will be going on as well. NFL playoffs. This is your NFL party headquarters for all that right here at Frickers in Fremont. More to come after this. We roll along. I'm Tim Boulware, and a reminder that we're also on YouTube tonight. So check out our YouTube channel, and you can see all the interviews live there right here on Eagle 99. More to come after this. At Frickers on this Monday night, getting ready for the national championship game, Washington and Michigan tonight. And I am getting picks from everybody, so I'll get your picks at the end.
Okay.
And I'll offer my pick at the end, and I'm not sure how I'm going to go, to be quite honest, because I think it's a toss-up game. So if anybody has a coin, I'll probably flip it, and the heads will be one way and tails the other. So Coach Tony Egbert joining us from Gibsonburg. And Coach, we talk about just the turnaround for your team, having lost 4 of the first 5. Now you won 5 in a row. So what has been the difference in leading to the spurt?
Yeah. Early on, I know we talked after our first game against Northwood. We lost by 4. We had another one against New Regal that ended up being a 2-possession game, which really came down to the last 15, 20 seconds. And we've kind of been preaching to the kids about making winning plays. stuff that doesn't always show up in the box score, like taking a charge or just diving on a loose ball, little things like that to buy extra possessions. And I think our kids have really kind of embraced some of those things. And once you get one or two wins, then some of that stuff kind of becomes contagious and rubs off on all the other teammates. Other guys want to contribute in that way. So it's just a really good thing throughout the team right now.
Where do you feel the belief factor is coming for this team? Because it's one thing, team struggled last year, as we well know.
Yep.
So where does that belief factor now come? Do you feel they have it now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just confidence in one another, really. I think these last 5 games, I think we've had 4 different leading scorers in each of the last 5 games. It seems like every single night it's a different kid stepping up for us, which I think says a lot about them. It's Jake Hall stepping up and being the scorer one night, and then one night it's Reese Walby, one night it's Aiden Morant. Hunter Wasserman had 12 points, 12 rebounds for us against Woodmore the other night. Zach Magoo had a big night for us against Woodmore. So I think kids are kind of at the point where they've got the taste of winning, and they don't really care who puts up the points or numbers or anything like that. They just want the end result of the win.
Reese Walby, and this is a freshman.
Yep.
And I remember him for the football season. So he averages 3.5 assists per game. But get this, he's shooting at 86% for the free throw line. Where does that type of ability to convert those opportunities at the line come from?
It's work ethic. That kid, him and a bunch of other kids have kind of embraced. Some of them come in on Sunday mornings and shoot now, even if he's one of the ones that even if we don't have practice or anything, he'll shoot a text, coach, care if we come in and shoot. And he's all about putting in the work. He's not he's a freshman. He's not a big talker or anything right now, but he puts in the work. And I think that's another thing where the older kids kind of see the work he puts in, and they all want to put in the work together now, which is it's an awesome thing because 86% is not easy, and I think 50-some% from 2, and so
it's even more impressive. You
Yeah.
could add to those numbers
Yep.
as well. A lot of people talk about Jake Hall, and of course it's impressive with his 13.1 points per game, but I'm interested in how he's been an example for these younger guys like Aiden Morant and Reese Walby.
Yeah, yep. Jake's another kid. In the summer, he'd come in mornings. I know he worked at the golf course, so sometimes after he was done working, he'd come in and shoot at night or something like that. And it's just Jake's another one. He's not the most vocal kid, and he'd tell you that straight up. But he's an awesome kid. I think he sets a really good example for how to do things. Not only on the court, but I think in the hallway. I think he's a great representative for Gibsonburg and kind of what a Gibsonburg kid should be.
We're talking with Tony Egbert, the head coach at Gibsonburg, as they get ready looking at your schedule. You have a game at Calvert tomorrow night. That's a first-place team, and you're on the road. So size up a little bit of that matchup.
Yeah, we've talked. Since the locker room Saturday night after Danbury, we knew that this coming Tuesday, this week's going to be a big challenge for us to kind of see where we stand. We know we've won some games in a row, but yep.
That's the
at
next
Calvert, at Hopewell, that's a doozy of a week. But I think our kids are ready for it. Going to Calvert's not an easy place to win. That gym is it's different.
What makes it difficult?
Yeah, it's just a small gym. The walls are close. It feels like everyone's on top of you, but I think our kids they're not going to be intimidated by that type of environment. I think they're excited. I think they're going to embrace the opportunity, and I think we're going to be ready to go.
I go back to your game against SJCC when Clay Stahl had at one point 15 of the team 16 points at one spurt in that first half. And then after that, he was held to just a couple after halftime. Now, that's saying a lot. I know that Cooper Talika picked up a little bit of for him after that. But what defensively did you do on a tough guy like Stahl?
I think our energy just picked up. I think it was that simple. We came out pretty flat. I know St. Joe I think it was 26-20 at half.
It was.
We talked at halftime that wasn't us, just energy-wise, defensively. I think with our guards, with Reese, with Aiden, with Sam, we can cause some havoc a little bit for other teams' backcourts. And Sam McEwen's a guy really that kind of got us going, just getting some touches defensively there. And, he doesn't always get the numbers points-wise or anything, but Sam does. Sam gets some touches and gets guys playing faster than they're used to. And I think that was the big thing. We just made them a little more uncomfortable.
Your team is averaging 13 assists per game, so where does that unselfishness come from? How do they read it and being able to know what their other teammates are doing?
Yeah, I think that goes back to, again, you get that little taste of winning, and you don't care who scores the points or anything like that. I think kids are starting to realize if I make the right play, this kid's put in the work, this kid's put in the work, my teammate's going to knock down a shot. I trust him. If I draw 2 defenders, I trust Zach Magoo or whoever to knock down a 3. It was Zach the other night at Woodmore, or home against Woodmore, I guess. But
yeah.
And then, one night I think Aiden Morant knocked down a couple at St. Mary's. It seems like it's been a different kid every night, which makes life a lot easier for me too. And
talking with head coach Tony Egbert as Gibsonburg's head coach as they get ready for their tough week at Calvert and at Hopewell Loudon. And we've talked a little bit about that. When you look at those two teams, I mean, besides the venue you talked about at Calvert, what makes these two teams so good?
Yeah, they're two. Obviously, they're very well coached. Coach Jury, Coach Otterbacher both had a lot of success in the past, and they're older teams. Hopewell has, they start 5 seniors that have, 4 seniors and a junior with Martinez that, they've got tons of RC experience under their belt, and same thing with Calvert. Coach Otterbacher's kids playing point guard for them now. Obviously, he's been around the game since probably he's been in diapers. And then they've got, both teams have great size too. Calvert's got the Wagner kid down low, he's a load. And then Hopewell's got Evan Crease, who's the returning player of the year, and Donovan Elmore, who's 6'7", load down low. So the size is going to be a challenge for us.
Is that your biggest challenge, size?
Yeah. Yep. I think so, because I think we're long, but Calvert tomorrow they're thick too. But again, I think we're taking on the team aspect. We talked today. We got to limit them to 1 shot on the offensive end, and if we do that, I like our chances. And it's going to take 5 guys rebounding and not relying on 1 guy to get every rebound.
What were the lessons from last year's struggles? Because, the program had been so successful. So last year's struggles, what did those players learn from that?
I think they just learned it's varsity basketball is a different speed. And that was an adjustment period. I know, I had most of those kids, I coached them on the JV team the year before. And it's just a lot faster. It's, if you see a guy cutting that's open, you got to throw the pass right away. You can't process and see, okay, he's open, I need to throw the pass. It's just got to be a lot of reaction instead of thinking about things. So
yeah, and boy, it's so difficult because when you have 4 things going around in your mind, then it's about reacting. And that's something that you can present, but I would imagine that's a hardest thing for a coach to be able to do that is here's what you have to see, and then it becomes second nature. But when does that resonate with kids, especially young kids?
Yeah, that's a great question. We try and do some things in practice to kind of make them process quicker. Like I know this past week going against Danbury and like sometimes going against Old Fort the way they play, if we're working on press break, something like that, we go against 6, 7, heck, sometimes 8 JV kids just to get us sped up and try and make that adjustment in practice. That way, come game time, we realize, hey, okay, we could break this press against 8 people. We should be able to do it against 5, and I think that's helped us a little bit. But it just goes back to confidence, really, just the experience. You can't coach experience, you can't teach experience. It's just there's only one way to get it, and it's just to roll the balls out there and go play. So
I know the other kids will get mad at me, but I'm going to say something about Reese Walby again. To be a point guard as a freshman.
Yep.
tremendous responsibility. How does a young guy handle that responsibility when not only are they relied upon to get others involved, but also to put up points themselves?
Yeah, yep. Reese has a lot of experience, playing basketball, playing AAU, and I think Reese's mentality is exactly what you would want in a point guard. He's very even keeled. He's never going to get too high. He's never going to get too low. If he turns the ball over, he's moved on already. He's going to go lock down somebody on defense, or if he makes a great play, he's already worried about the next play that he's going to make. And if you ask any coach, I think that's one of the top 3 skills, qualities that you want out of your point guard is just that. He's just got that mentality that it's not easy to have when you're he's a 14-year-old kid.
Yeah.
So it's hard to, wrap your mind around. Sometimes these are 14, 15, 16-year-olds.
He's driving the offense, and he can't even drive a car.
Exactly. He's got a ways to go, too. Yep.
Which
exactly.
probably relieves his parents a little
Yes.
bit.
I'm
That's
sure.
for sure.
I'm sure.
Couple of last questions for you as we wrap up with Tony Egbert here at Frickers in Fremont, Gibsonburg's boys basketball coach. We mentioned the tough week that they have ahead. 2 road games, Calvert and Hopewell Loudon, both in first place in the SBC River. And what's the most fun part about coaching this team? What do you enjoy the most?
It sounds cliche, but they're great kids. They're easy to coach. Well, not easy to coach. Sometimes there's always moments, but they really they embrace the coaching, and they want to work. It would be easy to have we have a freshman point guard leading the way. We have a sophomore guard that starts for us. We got 5 seniors, and it would be easy for the seniors to say, hey, I'm a senior, I should be playing over this freshman, or I should be playing over this sophomore, something like that. And they've all embraced each other. It's a really cool thing to see. I know a lot of them were making the trip over to watch our girls at Port Clinton tonight, which it's always scary thinking about them driving to Port Clinton, but
but how does that friendly competition work out with the girls because of the success that both of you are having?
Yeah, yep. No, it's a great thing for our school. I know Thursday we had Woodmore at home, the boys did, and it was an awesome crowd. We'd been preaching to the boys. Woodmore, when I was growing up, Woodmore was always the rivalry. So now with Woodmore being back in the league, we kind of were preaching that to the kids, and I don't know if they were really buying into that. And then they saw the crowd that we had Thursday night, and they were kind of like, oh, maybe Coach is kind of right a little bit. And then Woodmore's girls came back over on Friday, and it was kind of the same thing with the girls' atmosphere. It was a big crowd, and I think the community's really starting to recognize the work that our kids have put in. It's a pretty cool thing. So.
All right, your pick for the game, I think Michigan scored a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. So did they score a touchdown? Okay. All right, so Michigan's ahead. So what's your pick? It is a little easier now that they're ahead 7-0.
I think here I'm gonna pick Michigan to win. That way I look smart if they win.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be mad if they lose.
Okay.
We'll put it that way.
I
know.
I got it.
Ohio State is undefeated in 2024. So
well, there you go.
I do know that.
Yes, that is true.
Yep.
We haven't played either.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
You know what? I was going to pick Washington. I was tossed up. I'm going to go with Michigan in this game. I know that's 31. 7-0 lead. I'll say 31-27. I think it's going to be really, really close at the end. And Washington they won on an interception at the end against Texas. They'll lose on an interception at the end of this game. That's my pick.
I like that.
So, all right. Well, and I could be completely wrong, and I've been known to be completely wrong a number of times.
That's
before.
the fun of it, though. Yep.
Absolutely. And you can watch it here at Frickers with boneless chicken wing night at 79 cents right here at Frickers in Fremont. And don't forget, this is your NFL playoff headquarters as well. Browns game on Saturday against the Houston Texans. So for Aiden Klein, our producer engineer, for Nick Roth running the video stream for us on YouTube, which you can check out a replay of that later on our YouTube page for Eagle 99. I'm Tim Boulware, and a reminder at the Oregon Clay Eagles will be taking on Fremont Ross in boys play. We'll have that game right here on Eagle 99 Friday night. So check us out for that pregame roughly around 7 o'clock with the tip-off around 7:15. For all of us here at Eagle 99, the BAS Sports Network, I'm Tim Boulware. Have a great night from Frickers.